Here we are. We're back for episode 15 of The Pit. This week we have Challenger Cup #1 breakdown, and we are joined by very special guest, the Notorious Deviance analyst, Rayless. How are we, my man?
I'm very good, mate. Nice to see you. How you doing, man?
I'm not bad. I'm not bad. But yeah. So we got Boston soon, but before we can go forward, we must go backwards. So let's get straight into it, right? Segment 1, FACEIT. Where do we start? Do we start from the front? Do we start from the first instance of where we were like, things might not be so smooth this weekend?
I mean, face it, when you look at it in the background, if you've seen CS, great organization, run things perfectly smoothly. But when you hire people that have no background in COD and understand how COD works, it becomes a bit of a nightmare. Especially when they've let too many issues fly past. Even before the tournament started, you just knew it was going to be a fun weekend going into the tournament. But...
Yeah, I mean, exactly right. And correct me if I'm wrong for any of this, but so sign-ups closed 24 hours before the tournament started. And we know in COD, and I'm sure it's the same in other esports, right? I'm not too familiar with it, but I'm sure it's the same, right? A lot of snaking goes on. There's a lot of team changes. I mean, we've had it where in the NA, right, Mohawk didn't wake up from with his team. It happens. They need these last-minute changes, and they lock that in. I mean, do you have any idea why?
I think it's probably to other tournaments they have. They always have 24-hour sign-ups because they apparently needed so much time to figure out the brackets, the pro points, and all that stuff. Even then, they got the bracket completely wrong and took the complete piss with that. But I think it might be because, as I said, where they don't have a system like GB's has, with the pro points being linked to the account, it just took them so long to figure out how to put people into a bracket that they needed 24 hours to do, apparently, which, judging by that, they needed more than 24 hours.
Just makes you question what was left for them with the takeover, because like, another point, right, the GB bans didn't get imported. Now, to me, if you're opening another website, like say CMG's just come out, right, you're not going to start importing another tournament host's bans. There's no reason to. But when you're specifically taking over challengers from another brand, surely that is the time where you import bans and what they had.
I think it's these. They said to me they didn't have the blacklist from GBs, but GB said they sent over the black. It was as a question of one person says one thing, another person says another thing, but they said they didn't have any blacklist imported over. And even then, without the blacklist, we've been sat there. I'm not the only one. I think Kez was another person was sat there saying it. But like, you have someone who's openly admitted in their Discord, I've been banned before, and someone else who's got proof on Twitter of them logging into accounts that have got cheats on it, and a tab that says "Welcome to so-and-so website." I'm not going to name the website. I don't know off the top of my head, but even then, like, saying they've been using cheats, and the admin's gone, that's not enough proof, we need a blacklist. Or the person that's under the age of 16, and we've told them, look, here's the proof of this happening, and they've said, oh, we need a blacklist to happen. I think the issue is where the admins don't want to be the one to jump the gun and just say, okay, cool, we can do this and ban them completely. They just want to be, they're trying to be as lenient as possible, which then causes too much drama.
Which I get, but like, if you go outside of GB and face it, like, surely there's someone from the league that is also overlooking this. Everything's been lost in translation. It seems like this tournament host wasn't ready to host a tournament. Now, personally, I don't blame the league, but there's got to be some accountability on the league as well as to why a trial event hasn't been determined to be ran before. I mean, even the Katana event coming up, right? You talk to their owners, to people that run it, and they're going to be hosting multiple trial events, you know, as stress tests, which I'm pretty sure is natural in any form of business. I mean, with such an important event 1 week before Boston, there was no room to get this wrong, and they got it wrong. But I mean, luckily we've come out the other end, and there wasn't no massive upsets for anyone attending the event. But I mean, it's just stressful. And I mean, from you inside of a camp, like, how did the players perceive all of this?
I think the players, the issues, we were perfectly fine. It's just where they delayed the tournament for getting it completely wrong. I mean, on our end, some of our players loved the idea of going back to sleep for 2 hours, so they went to bed and woke up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That wasn't our main issue. Like, we just listened to the well, I would say we listened to the admins. We tried to reconcile with the admins and say, look, we understand it's your first time doing it, but you're making an absolute mockery of it completely. Like, we got away with one because, I mean, where we're highest seed, or the highest seed we can possibly get, we don't have to deal with seeds being a nightmare or issues with pro points, anything like that. We can just say, look, here's this, here's that, sorted. But I think there was other people in there, like one team, I can't remember who it was completely. They got kicked out of the tournament, which costed them for Boston, but no one knows how that happened. And then there was other teams that got the pro points wrong, so they got lower seeds, or one of the teams was playing against a team of known cheaters and didn't get the points they deserve because of it. And then when they send through the feedback or proof, it's up to 48 hours to get the proof sorted, which you have a live tournament over 2 weekends. By the time that's done, tournament's over and you're already in the new week.
Yeah, I mean, we're not saying this, right? Anyone listening, we aren't saying this just to sit here and slander FACEIT. We're sitting here to raise issues, and I mean, hopefully something good comes off the back of it, of where someone looks at it and they go, right, we need to do things differently moving forward. But I mean, you mentioned it there, right? We had a 2-hour delay at the start at the start of the tournament. But the first time they had the bracket wrong, so you done in my opinion, they done the right thing. They said, don't play it, hold on. Delayed it by an hour, and they said, we'll fix it. Now, was about half an hour, and then they delayed it by another hour. And this is a big tournament, and you're not starting it till 2 o'clock. And bear in mind, actually, we're not even mentioning this. They want to start at 9:30 originally in the morning, didn't they?
Yeah, 9 o'clock in the morning.
That's absurd to me. Like, again, like it just seems that maybe FACEIT didn't get any support from game battles on from the league. Maybe they just brought it, and they've just been left on their own accord and left in the dust, which could be believable, to be honest, with how things have gone. But everything changed, and then, like you said, there was teams that the second time they got left out, and there was still, I think it was Inglorious, their seeding got completely messed up, and they're around the 24 seed, and yeah, their seed was completely chalked. Like, I can't remember who they had. Their top 16 game was against Chunk, but I think before that, like their normal game was against a lot more favourable team in their opinion. So obviously they're absolutely fuming. And how many other people has happened to?
Yeah, it's if you're gonna get pro points. The thing is, a lot of these teams that go to Boston, if you're gonna get the seeding wrong, like yeah, you still have to beat who's in front of you. Fair enough, but if you have a more favourable opponent, you might be able to beat them, get more pro points, and be better going into Boston. But as well as the team that you said got kicked out as well, I think I saw they got kicked out, or they apparently, I don't know how they were, like they forfeited or disbanded the team at 10 past. I think they said about 10 past 2 when the tournament that started at 12 got delayed till 2 o'clock. And you start reading that and you think to yourself, there's no, like, common sense has been thrown out the window here. No one has any idea how on earth you can kick a tournament out after the tournament's been started. And they were sat there the whole time going, well, you can't do anything about it. But if you delay a tournament twice already because of your mistakes, I guess they didn't want to delay it anymore because it's, otherwise wouldn't even run a tournament at this point. I mean, I think they said they finished 9 hours after operating on day one. Some people wake up at like midday, 11 o'clock, start getting ready, and then they finish by 11 o'clock. It's you might as well just clock into a shift at that point. It's too long-winded for the players to do. Plus, as well, they changed it to do best of fives all the way through, which I don't hate. But the first round, where it's like the 120th versus 130th seed or something, like you're not playing for anything. Just at that point, make it a best of three like they used to on GBs. And as well, when you said about the lack of support coming over, in my opinion, I'm thinking to myself, you should hire people who have a background to teach the new people with no background and make it so much easier.
I mean, that would just be common sense. I mean, I'm not familiar with any of the admins, to be honest. Were you? Did you recognise any names?
None of the admins that are in that I recognise. I think majority of them were LATAMs, and a lot of them come from backgrounds in different esports. So none of us really recognised any of them.
No, I mean, which is just frustrating. Like you said, you'd like to see. I mean, some people come over that were pretty clued up to help with the first part of the year, maybe. Which again, in other businesses, you do, right? Like the person replacing the other person in the job, like the original person will stay and help, and they'll have a plan for them. But this is this has been rough. This has been really rough. And anyone that's watching as well and listening, like the importance of this first event is massive, because for everyone who got, let's just say, mugged off this weekend, their entire last year of playing was basically pointless, because the seeding for this event is off of all of your last year. And I think I've seen a couple of people on Twitter with like making threads about it. Like it's just an absolute kick in the nutsacks for them. Like you said, the top 16 seeds, they're okay, but outside of that, like they've been done rough.
Very rough. I think the 10% from Boston, that's another stupid idea. I mean, like for seeding for the first tournament, I can understand like the actual like first online cup, perfectly fine. I mean, you get your seedings right for that. But then just go into Boston with maybe the pro points you had from these cups that have gone in without last year's for Boston. I mean, I've got like global seeds up, and I'm pretty sure off the top of my head, I think even people like FaZe Black A team that literally just won an A are going into the Boston Cup with an 8th seed.
Yeah, that's
And I
what we were
think
looking at earlier.
Charlie's team, who got second, I think they're going in with, I think it was like, I want to say 13th or anywhere. I think it was around about 13th seed. Where you think these guys, I don't have to even tell you anything about them, or not a lot about them. I think everyone knows like that Team War team, 4X pros that probably should still be in the league, in my opinion. Starting off an entire tournament in 13th seed. I think their first match is against, I want to say it's either the French or Boston Academy. But as a team that's been winning prelim or like cups that are done, like even a rotation cup that was done when they won that, or a team that's getting second in the first open, shouldn't be starting behind players that didn't even either A compete in that tournament. Even I said like a team like the FaZe Black team, they're currently sat here. I'm looking at it now. They're an 11th seed and they won a cup.
Is that up to date with this Opens?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was up
points?
to date. It was around about there. I'm not sure if it's actually fully up to date, but it was around about that sort of region where like between like 8th and 11th. But as winning a cup and getting there, like you'd surely expect them to be somewhere in like the top 5 at least. But
Yeah, the 10% don't make sense because even if some teams won the event, they might have moved up 2 seeds. It's crazy. I mean, even like Noctum, right? They've got top 4 at the weekend and they're going in a 16th seed. Like it just don't make sense to me. I don't
I think
understand who's looked at it.
10% is way too much.
It
I think
took so much
if you
value off
had
this.
if you had maybe like let's say for example like 5%, it's still something. But that amounts too much. Yeah, I've got an updated proposal. Actually, yeah, it was FaZe Black at 8th, but even 5% would have made it slightly easier for teams. That would have made more sense. Because we went into this weekend, which I'm grateful for, don't get me wrong. I'm happy with the idea of 10% for where we are. Even if we had to make the Sunday to lock in a first seed for Boston no matter what. So we could have finished 8th place in that entire cup and still got first seed for it.
See,
Whereas other teams that got higher than us would have been slightly screwed over.
would a better way, tell me if I'm wrong, but would a better way not to do it, right, was just gone off of this cup pro points, and if you're tied, then the tiebreaker would be your last year's pro points.
That's how they did it last year. And it made sense. Like they did, but the issue is they've done one cup. Whereas if they did 2 or 3 cups, you could kind of understand. But with one cup, it's like one upset sets you back massively. Like if you finish 8th in a cup, you're more or less going to be. I mean, by the time you tie in NACs, EUCs, even APAC or LATAMs, you're around about the 20th seed. So you sort of had to do it, but because of the lack of cups or just the fact that it's taken 3 months since the game started to get FACEIT launched for this cup. Like it had to be done, but I think it's just too much.
Yeah.
As I said, Charlie's team miss out on the Team War. They miss out on so many positions just because they were in the league last year. So they've been hindered for being in the Pro League.
It's crazy, and I think Boston's going to be absolutely wild looking at them seeds. Like, there's going to be some upsets. There's going to be some people and losers, and people are going to be like, "What? How? This is how."
Yeah, I think Boston. I said Boston. I think play Team War. I think for their, I want to say top 12 or top 8 match. That's one big match which you think wouldn't happen until later on in the stages, but it's because, as I said, seedings are quite low. Like FaZe Black being 8th, they play against the Spanish, which fair enough you can understand, but even then you think these teams are like should be easily top 3, top 4. But because of this pro point stuff, they're having harder matches every single series. But then again, if you want to win it, you have to beat the best, I guess. But you shouldn't have to go through too difficult of a process to even get to the finals in the first place.
No, I completely agree with you. There's no argument for it, right? It's just upsetting to see. It is what it is. The amount we talk about, it's not going to change, but hopefully it doesn't happen again in the future. But one thing I did, right, want to chat to you about, because I saw, I think it might have been Nasty or Team More anyway. It was the comment on the no kill cams to catch out cheaters. Obviously, they wanted it off because they haven't practiced with it. They don't know the spawns of it. That I understand. But again, like, we're not really talking about the top 8 seeds in this mostly, are we? Like, it is towards the rest of them. What's your opinion on the no kill cams being on? Should they have been on for the tournament?
You're gonna, in my opinion, always have it on. You either need the kill cams on to catch out people that are cheating, or force PC players to stream or have any sort of proof. Because like there was too many issues where teams were like, "Oh, he's cheating," but the admins want proof. But the proof you can get is from your POV. You don't get any of their POV, any of the kill cams, any of that. You have no help at all. So you can't exactly get rid of these people. I mean, everyone knows you cheat in a video game. You shouldn't be playing in a tournament at all for money, and like they're taking opportunities off of people. But you take away kill cams, you can't see something to hide. I mean, if you got nothing to hide, you'd happily say yes. I mean, fair enough. If the top teams want to do it, like I said, Team War, if they do it, you can understand why.
Yeah.
But like the lower down teams, like your 65th and like 90th seed teams, if they say no, it's like it's a bit strange in my opinion. Like that's the sort of region where you think, okay, people maybe cheat or people might have something on. Not a lot of people, maybe like 1% of the players, maybe like something's up and it's more peace of mind. Because otherwise, the whole time you're going to die and you're going to be like, oh, this happened, that happened, he's cheating, he's doing this. And the whole time you're just in your own head and it stops you from performing how you want to perform. But as I said, kill cams need to be on. If not, streams need to be forced. But the admins, fair enough, they're going off of a rule book, which says if they need to change the rules, they can. But I don't think anyone wants to jump the gun and say, look, let's do it. Let's do something.
No. And I mean, you've touched on it there, right? The next one. The streams. You don't have to stream, but if you do stream, then we want a 5-minute delay on internal and external streams. Now, to me, in what logic does that make sense? One of the biggest things around this space right now is the lack of content around it, right? Content is going to excel the players, the tournament hosts, and bring more potential sponsors into the scene. Why on earth are they trying to hint at that? Because I've got no reason for it.
I don't have a reason either. I mean, I think, again, it goes back to the whole point of, I'm pretty sure these admins come from different esports. CS rounds take 2 minutes sometimes, Valorant 2 minutes, same as Rainbow Six, other games like that. They'll take like 2 minutes. Even then, they have 5 minutes, which makes no sense, and then they lowered it to 2. They told Europe it has to stay at 2. They told Gabe or Roma that you can go lower than 2, but it's up to him. They can't call out anyone for stream sniping. Then they rescinded it, then they put it back, and it's... The whole point should be, if you want to stream, it's your choice. But if you put a lower... Like, all you're doing is hindering yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you're making your PC run worse, unless it's 2 PCs. The potential stream sniping's there. Like, you know the risks. Why are we getting... Like, why are we getting costed or having to, like, ruin people's content over a risk that we're taking? I mean, if Gabe streamed at 20-second delay... There's still something there, and he knows it's on him. He knows if someone stream snipes him, it's on him. It's not on anyone else. So why should he have to go higher up when he accepts the risks?
It don't make sense. And like the system, like stress, that's going to put on having a 5-minute delay on your stream. It's bonkers. It is absolutely bonkers. I don't understand it unless they're in another esport where they have like mass stream sniping issues and it goes to the admins and they're the one that has to deal with it. So they're like, we'll put this in place. We don't have this issue to lower the workload. But I don't see what esports that is.
It's just... I mean, I can understand if they made it 0 seconds minimum. Like, oh no, sorry, turn it off completely. I'll probably a better way of putting it. But if you turn it off and then the stream sniping issues, it makes more sense. When they force 2 minutes, it stops that issue happening, I guess. But they should just say stream it. If you stream at your own risk, put whatever delay on. But if you get stream sniped, it's on you. That'd be the easiest way to put it. Because then you get content. I mean, teams will get content out of it. Players will get content out of it. Grow their brand, grow to a bigger organisation, and makes everything 10 times better for them. But doing this, it kills off any sort of chance of that.
No, it's bonkers. And then streams again. Why were they not required? Why could they not be requested?
I don't think the admins... As I said, it's not... Admins are just following a rule book, and... So I think they have a rule book which is set for LAN and online, but online's got half the stuff missing. In my opinion, it should be... Like, the admins can force someone to stream if there's sufficient proof of them cheating. Like, let's say, for example, if you play against someone, map 1, and you think he's cheating, you can ask for it, and it makes complete sense. I wouldn't force everyone off the bat, because not everyone has the best Wi-Fi's, PCs, this, that, and the other. But if you're gonna cheat, and in map 1 someone asks for it, it makes complete sense. And if you say no, it goes back to the whole point of, if you got nothing to hide, why would you say no?
Yeah. I agree.
Like,
money cams weren't even requested. Money cams weren't even a thing, right?
Yeah, same thing, same issue.
Just nothing. I remember someone said it to him. They were like, money cams aren't happening. Period. Like, not even open to it.
It's the player's choice if they want to do it themselves, and if they say no, the admins can't force them. Which it's another stupid ruling they have, but it's a rule book which, in my opinion, is outdated. But I think it's the same rule book that might have been there when it was PlayStation times only, and they need to update it for PC. As I said, one of the rules say something like they can change the rules how they see fit and how they deem fit. I think this is one of those examples of you need to change it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're going to if you're going to tell the players, okay, we're going to force you to stream, no kill cams, no money cams, you're going to see an excess of cheaters coming into the scene soon, and that's one thing that kills off an esport.
Yeah, but again, right, it might not be the admins. Like, if they've got a rule book that haven't been updated and it comes from the powers above, then yeah. But the problem is whoever's making these decisions, right? You're putting a lot of stress on your admins, and if it isn't the admins, I'll tell you what, they're not enjoying their time. They're going to be off pretty soon. So we need it rectified, because it can't be fun for them. Like, they can't sit there but enjoy being added with slander 20 times every hour.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guilty for that because I got a little bit passionate, we'll say, a little bit annoyed at the admins. But like, if you're gonna just consistently make mistakes over and over again, we get it. It's your first time doing it, but you're running one of the biggest. You're running one of the biggest esports. I get with your first ever cup, which is meant to be there to set an example, and the example you set is just a shambles. You've already delayed it. You've already allowed cheaters back in. You can't ban those people. You're already forcing stupid rulings. You're not even forcing any rulings, which should make sense. And you're following your rule book, but your rule book's wrong, and then you have to go back and explain how the rule book's wrong. But they won't give you the time of day, because why would they? I mean, granted, we got one later on in the grand finals where we told them the rules are wrong and they've listened to us. But the other rules, they haven't listened to us. You'll just think of yourself. A lot of it's common sense in the esport. Like the whole, if you're cheating, force them to do this makes complete sense. Adding kill cams on, change the rules makes complete sense. But as I said, I don't think any admin wants to sit there and say, okay, let's change the rules. They probably have like a hierarchy they've got to go through, and the boss of their boss has said no or something. Which I think we need more communication with people that are higher up than them.
Yeah.
To sort of give them the idea, like get people that are more experienced in the scene. Get someone like Luty, who's been here for years and more or less got seen as a general in the EU scene, to go talk to these people and say, look, these are the rules you've got wrong. These are the rules you should put in. You'll make this esport run 10 times better, and no one will kick off towards you. But it's our first cup, first try for everything. It's just, in my opinion, I'd write that down as a failure.
Yeah. There's one more I want to talk to you about, right? Because this one was like just finished off the weekend. The absolute movie that it had been. The veto process in the final, right? Poor Pablo had been live for 10 hours. We waited on grand finals for 90 minutes. After the 90 minutes, we then found out there was an issue with the veto process, and the admins had only just agreed theirs was wrong. And obviously, you were in that hand by hand, so you can probably tell the story the best.
Yep. I want to start off by saying, chafing, Pablo, sorry. We may have torched your time a little bit. I apologise. I know they have work and I know they have things I need to do, but so we were sort of getting pressured by the admins to get the veto started. We had it earlier with one of them at me when I was at work saying, can you report the score when we was in map 5? Cheers, mate. That was lovely. But it was going into the finals. The veto process to do the actual maps, they made sense. But once that was all done and we asked to do host vetoes, the admins were then saying to us, whatever map you picked in the map veto process, you had to host. So say if you picked map 1 hardpoint, you hosted map 1 hardpoint no matter what. Which the usual veto process for hosting should be, you do the map vetoes and then you go, I think it's team A picks a map to host, B picks a map, then A, B, A, or A and then B, B in best of 5. But in best of 7s, it's A, B, A, B, A, B, B. But with the admins, they saw the best of 5 online process, and it said, online do this as hosting, LAN it's different. Best of 7 in their rulebook shows the LAN process and no online process. They went with the LAN process, stuck with it, and we explained to them for about 30 minutes about the online process, just for one of the admins to tell us, yeah, we can see your first seed, which makes no sense to our point. But we told him like straight away, like, look, here's the process. Like even Cynical, part of the Falcons guys, he was getting involved and understanding we was right, and a few others were getting in there saying we was right. And we're coming off of like 3 or 4 series in a row. You sort of ice them out and makes them not play as good going into a series. Wasn't our intention at all, though. We wanted just to get this started because I mean, Roper had Roper had to get up in 4 hours. Yes, he's a coach. Some of the players had to get up and do things the day afterwards. We just wanted to get it over with and just finish it out and at least be able to just get some rest. But it didn't add on. You think you started 2 hours early and the first day and you finish the second day at 2 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it's kind of fun trying to celebrate a win with my whole family asleep downstairs. I can't exactly do anything, otherwise I'm waking up a neighbourhood.
I mean, it's crazy, but again, right, we haven't done this to slander it. I mean, the facts are the facts, to be honest. If you delayed the tournament 2 hours, which everyone, to be honest, it was the right decision. But once you have delayed the tournament 2 hours, you've got to be spot on with the rest of it and deliver. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case. And I mean, going forward, I guess just please try to get some help for some people that are knowledgeable within the scene. Have a look at the streams, the no kill cams. Get some of them GB bans imported. I mean, we're going to be pretty good. Like the rule book, get it updated. And I mean, anything you want to add to that?
I think just the admins need to listen to people. Like they've got a feedback channel in there, which everyone's going to be throwing things in there about. Just take the feedback on board, listen to it, and understand. Like we're not trying to slander anyone. Although it did look like people I was a part of that a lot. Yeah, it did look like people were trying to slander them, but just understand we're trying to make this esport better. We're trying to at least improve your tournaments, which you're going to be hosting for years, and try and make it fair for everyone. I think if you're going to listen to the players that are giving you all this advice, everything's going to go 10 times easier.
I completely agree, but that's going to conclude segment 1 of FACEIT. And now we have got a segment 2 today. And I mean, champ, you're straight off of a win. Obviously, Deviance, Notorious, they took Challenger Cup #1. Just give me the vibe after that win with the squad. How did it feel?
I think everyone was confident. We were happy to get the win, even though it did take a ball like to get to it. We were happy to actually be able to beat. I mean, currently in Europe, Team War is like a team that I think we played them 3-4 times in finals now. I think we lost to them once. I want to say 4-0 in the first cup. We played them like a few times in this cup and a few times in the other cups, like a rotation one. So we know we had a rivalry against them, and to be able to one up them in an official tournament is a really great feeling. Sat in TeamSpeak afterwards about 30 minutes to 45 minutes talking about everything. Everyone was happy. The whole organisation was happy. Even people outside of the organisation that I know were really happy about it. And so to see how excited people were to see us win, it gives us confidence going into Boston. Plus being first seed, there's confidence there. Coming off a cup win, there's confidence there. So I think we're all happy about winning it. But now we know we've just got to get our heads straight back down and get back into we got a few days of scrims before the team does go to Toronto. So we've just got to get our heads back down and get back into it. But to win a first ever event, or the first actual event of the year, I mean, you got to have some confidence going into a LAN event. I mean, we play well online. We have one of our players who has possibly the worst Wi-Fi out of any top 16 challengers team. I think he gets 2 up, 2 down.
Jesus.
So you go into LAN with that Wi-Fi. I mean, we get daily clips in the chat from him just posting them in about how he's been BS'd in kill cam. So if I see any LAN clips in there, I'm throwing something.
How confident? I know, right? You talk to any of the top 8, 16 players, especially the 8s. They're like, "Oh, we're confident we're going to win it today." But generally, what was the confidence from the team going into it? Were they expected to win it that day? Were they locked? Did they know?
I think, not trying to sound too egotistical, we went into that tournament and we knew our practice was good. We knew we've learned a lot of things, especially because you give us 3 days to learn new hard points and new spawns and new hills, which, cheers, guys. We felt confident going into it, especially because of the practice we were going into it with was really good. We didn't play against War, so we didn't know, in scrims, we didn't know how good they was going to be. But, I mean, we went through, the first day, did quite well, a little bit shaky towards I think the last series we went to map 5 against a team. And then we sort of woke up the next day knowing, okay, look, let's go into these series with as much confidence as we can. And the further we got into the tournament, especially beating War and winners finals, we came off of it thinking we feel good. And then just finals start off as quick as we could. I mean, we went 1-0 to 2-1 and then won 3 maps back to back to back. I mean, if you watch some of the players that even players like Chill or Wee Man was doing, I think he got a ninja defuse on terminal. I mean, you have to have some pretty big balls to do that. So I think confidence was flowing through the team.
Yeah, again, right? You and Team Moore, it's like, I guess it's the El Clasico at the beginning and end of this year, right? It's the two teams that are expected to be in that grand finals. The fact that you've beat them twice in one weekend, I mean, they've got to be thrilled for Boston. They've got to be going in. I think they're winning the entire thing, genuinely.
Oh yeah, you're beating an entire team of players that are in a CDL last year. I mean, no disrespect to the players, they all should be back in the league, but beating them is quite a good confidence feeling. I mean, both of the like all the 8 players on that team, in my opinion, should have some position in the league.
Yeah.
Like Steve's come off back-to-back champs one year, no talks in the league. Chilt is probably one of the best AR players in Europe last year, no talks in the league. Harry was in London a couple of years back, not there anymore. I mean, London's a whole different story, but he's not there anymore. Ben Mythics, I guess he had his come up year last year, massively done really well. Now he's coming in, and then the whole war team. I mean, Charlie was in a World Champs finals last year. No sniff of a league team. Bance has been around for ages. No sniff of a league. Like, you take these players' names. If you go to anyone who watches the league and you say, "Oh yeah, these 4 players who looked really good last year, no sniff of any team in the league," they'll be like, "What is going on?" But I guess that's an expansion issue. But yeah, I think, as you said, it's a lot. I'm happy to at least beat these guys, and as you said, it's going to be an El Clasico throughout the year. I mean, there are other teams up there, like the French are up there, so Cobra's team, like they're doing really well recently. There are a few other teams which could cause upsets later into the year when everyone learns. I mean, the Spanish as well. Like, play anyone on Spanish web, you're going to have an absolute nightmare. But thank the Lord we've got first seed for that.
They're an issue. I think you said like Clutch Rain and the last couple of weeks they've really come into their stride and they're looking in a hot property going into Boston. But this weekend, was there any teams that impressed you or exceeded your expectations with their placements?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't. I've been sat at work the whole time. It's kind of difficult. I mean, Noctem guys getting fourth. I mean, that's quite good, especially when you got the Spanish that finished slightly lower. I mean, the
They beat
Falcons, which
them.
finished eighth. Yeah, I mean, not like they've done quite well. I mean, the team that nearly knocked us out as well, like Kez's teams, like Kez, Devil, Sean, and Higgy. I mean, they took us to a map 5 on the Saturday, which I don't know if it's what the whole issue with that was, but they managed to take us to map 5 last series, so they looked quite well. But I mean, the issue is where it's so fresh off of new systems in the game, new spawns, no rotations, and everything. Like, any team that learns the game rapidly are going to be a good team to start with. As I said, so the French, they always know how to pick things up quickly. That's why they look well. And a few other players that have been around for time know how to pick things up well. Like the whole, as I said, the Noctem guys. I mean, Jed's been around for ages himself, so we know how to adapt to things rapidly. But it's going to be interesting. I think the first cup is how quickly people can pick it up. Boston's going to be how quickly you can settle it down. And the rest of the year is just how you can keep perfecting your craft and keep pushing, which from this cup, I hope it stays the same as it was throughout the entire year.
Yeah, well, I bet you do after how good you looked. But going into Boston, give me your top 4 EU teams right now.
Top 4 EU.
To EU.
I would have to say us. If I didn't, I'd probably get killed. Team War reasons, obviously, it makes sense. The French as well, I'd put them in. Like, the top 3 seeds EU, us, French, and War. Like, those 3 teams, you'd have to put yourself at the top. I mean, French look quite good. Got to lose. They've always been a team to get to the top 3 every single time, I'm pretty sure, so far. So, them as well. Us and War, I mean, 2 teams that look good. And then, honestly, 4 seed, you either could put Noctem in there based off how they've been doing. I mean, they look good in scrims. They look decent as well going into tournaments. And, I mean, you put them on LAN, it could be a different environment. Spanish as well. So, I think top 4, in my opinion, you either put, as I said, the first 3 seeded teams and either Noctem or the Spanish guys. But that's my top. But there are some teams outside of it that could cause upsets. I mean, Falcons are really good at S&D themselves as well. So
have they had a glow up in the last 2 weeks, or is that just me? The last 2 cups, I think they've looked unbelievable. They've looked really on it.
Ultimate Neslo team. I think because the Saudis they do mainly S&D tournaments.
Right.
You get them to take a respawn off someone, and it's. I mean, you have S&D perfectionists, so you should be looking them in.
Not on earth. We've lost your Rayless, mate. We've lost Rayless.
I'm here.
He's here. We've lost it. He's back. Hello, mate. Hello,
the whole. I just saw my Discord go to 5,000 ping, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I've died then."
You were getting into it there, mate, and
I mentioned the Falcons, and my Wi-Fi goes down. Starting to think someone's hitting me offline.
No issue, but I think Luti's been cooking up an absolute storm over there for the last couple of weeks. Because I mean, me personally, from what I've seen, their last two events, they've looked really in good shape. But
yeah.
I mean, yeah, like you said, I mean, there's a lot of teams out, even like F-Top's team as well. I mean, they look incredible when they get going. So it's going to be interesting going into Boston. And I mean, I've got an analyst here, right? So there might not be many better people to ask, but who do you think is going to be ahead, the EU or the NA going into this event? Because last year it was heavily NA.
In my opinion, I mean, between NA and EU, it's hard to judge, but personally, I'm going to have to go EU. Like, I mean, you have players that, like, you have both regions have players that are ex-pros, like, you have the FaZe Black team ex-pros, or you have the War team as ex-pros. You have our team was, like, really good, but I think EU have the better, higher-end caliber of players, but NA will have the better sort of players in top, like, overall, like, the averages. You'll see more NA teams towards the top 8, but I think you'll see more EU teams towards, like, the top 3, top 4. Like, I think either on my teams are Deviance, Notorious, War, French, FaZe Black, or SGP Syndicate. Potentially, like, you'll see those towards like the top end, maybe on LAN. Even Noisy's team, but I think besides the top 5 teams in Europe, like, or top 5, or maybe even top 8 teams, like NA have more teams towards the top, like towards the 1st to 24th seed, which could battle our seeds between, like I said, like the top 8 or to the 9th or like 16th. That's why it looks like a more NA heavy thing. But I think EU right now is probably the better region. But it's hard to judge with no cross-play tournaments or anything like that, because who wants to play a tournament on 100 ping?
Not me. That's for sure. Not me. But
I've tried it. It's not fun.
Yeah, no, not fun for anyone. But one more thing for you, right? We're on this segment to keep it in with Boston. I know you're going to say yourself, so I'm not going to ask who's going to win it. But who's going to get the best placement outside of your roster?
Best placement? Well, so what? The most improved, like a higher placement than what you think
who's the runner-up? Let's say I ask you the question: who's going to win the event? You're going to say Notorious. Who's going to come second?
Either Team War or FaZe Black, in my opinion. I mean, FaZe Black have been running it NA right now. Team War look really good in the EU, and they've been battling us. So it'll be either one of those two rosters. But LAN, maybe Tyler Noisy's roster. I mean, if you were there at Toronto last year, you knew how good they looked on LAN. I think it was a Decimate Gaming roster as well. So it's either going to be, as I said, I want to say probably Team War. I'll back the EU boys, and then maybe a FaZe Black or French 3rd, 4th probably.
Fair enough. All right, yeah. But that concludes segment 2 and everything I've got for you. So now we're on to guest time. Do you have anything you want to talk on? Any questions for me? Anything you want to promote during this time?
Probably nothing to promote. Only thing I have to say is when's your next LAN appearance happening?
Me, no, that's never happening, Chief. I'm done. I'm retired, mate. I don't know. Is there any point?
No, it'd be a bit of a laugh, wouldn't it?
I mean, maybe if Katana host, a 2nd or 3rd event this year, like the first one I do for content, obviously, and if Noctum go, then you're around them. But if they do a 2nd or 3rd, maybe I'll send a team. Maybe have some fun with it, like you say, produce some content around it, maybe. But when the itch is gone, it's gone, right? Like the itch is still there, right? I'm sure you're the same, but it's like I look at it now, and I'm egotistical, like the next competitor, right? But I know my level, and like you've got to be within the top 16 right now to really like make it worth it and do streaming alongside it and make a brand, and it's just not worth it for me, to be honest. I mean, are you in a similar stead with that?
I do. I watch my boys play, and I still kind of want to play, but then I realise I'm watching the best of the best, and I was kind of not even up to that level. So it's like you are a bit egotistical, a bit cocky. You're like, oh, I could take him, but then you sort of get humbled a little bit. I mean, I had to play against my own team in the Rotation Cup too, which went horribly, we'll say. I mean, they allowed Ant to get a streak though, so I don't know what's going on there, which was funny, but it was a good laugh to play against him. But when I shoot against people like that, I think to myself, yeah, I can understand how it sets me back a bit.
Yeah.
But then I understand now, like if I tried to compete, I'd have to put so much effort into it. even then, like, so many people put so much effort into it and get nowhere with it right now. So I just don't want to. I'm more happy to sat behind, just pushing keys, pushing numbers, editing spreadsheets, and watching them boys have a laugh. So
Yeah, no,
I don't know. It's still there in the back of my mind. I still want to try, but time and effort is just too much for me right now.
Just the ecosystem for me that we're in. Like, I mean, we've seen like so many of our types of players, you know, above the 32s, the 64s, even back in Cold War, right? Like, they're not there no more in the EU. So many of them have gone. Like that, there's just no point playing. The prize pools aren't even spread enough around the top 8, let alone anything below. Like, after EEG went as well, like, it's only just now that Katana has stepped in. I know we had ACCL in the middle, but that's not worth talking about. So it wasn't our category of competitor, in my opinion. Like, it hasn't been catered for a while.
No, not at all. I mean, when you have the cups only give money out to the top 2, elites are top 8, lands are now top 8. I'm pretty sure maybe top 16. It's around about there. Like anyone that's like as you said, the 16 to 32 regions, just they're putting all the time and effort in. I guess as you said, if you play the different leagues, like the Katana leagues, you get something out of it. But you sort of have to understand that in Europe, a region that gets hardly looked at because visas. Like you have to be like something special to even get picked up in the first place. I mean, players like Hydra got picked up in Europe, best player in the league. I mean, you had like majority of EU players like Joey, Joey got picked up, Harry got picked up, like all that sort of caliber players that get picked up. You have to be something special to more or less get into the league. Like even players like Steve-O, in my opinion, one of the greatest players in the EU challenges. No sniff of the league, which that just goes to show you how good you have to be to even get a chance. And when you're finishing 16th to 32, I think too many players think, what's the point? Sack it off.
Yeah.
Which it's a nightmare. You don't want to see the scene to die, but when it's franchising kills esports, in my opinion. That's the only issue right now. Like in my opinion, if CWL was still there, you'd have more people in the scene.
100%. I'd probably still be playing myself.
I wouldn't blame you at all.
That's what killed it, franchising for me. But could be wrong. It could be the best thing ever. We could both might be completely wrong. But I mean, I've just seen so many people in and around me just leave the scene because what's the point?
It's not even just players either, it's organisations. You go back to like Black Ops 4 champs. I mean, Team Warriors just come back. You've got I'm trying to think of the name now. Oh, I can't actually remember the name. It was a green logo that did challenges. I think Bids played for them.
Singularity.
That's the one. Singularity left. TSM left. Like there was too many big teams which were like heavily invested in this esport. And then franchising came in and all the teams went, what's the point? Like I think it was a Wobbabobs last year. Like I'm pretty sure Aiden, the actual main owner of it, released a statement and he made a loss. He made a loss of money for a team that was winning so much.
Yeah. Well, the only way from his structure to earn money was through selling players to the league. Now with a league that's got 48 spots, and I'd probably say we get not even 20% of that in EU. How on earth can you build a sensible business model off of that?
Yeah, I mean he got 2 players in, Linz and Abu, but
what's the chances of that happening again?
Yeah, very low. Unless you can, you need a team that's going to win everything.
Yeah.
I mean, Team War maybe they've got a lot of like players there that league caliber, league ready that they could probably try to sell back into the league at some point, but visas take 2 to 6 weeks to get in. None of these players in Europe are going to get in the league this year. If they somehow do, fair play, but I don't see it happening. I think it's going to be another NA subs this year, which, in my opinion, don't get me wrong, I want to see more EU talent in the league, but where it takes the absolute length of time to get them in. I mean, I think if you don't expedite, it's 6 weeks, and even then, that's an entire major before you can get one player in. Whereas NA, it's just call them up, sorted.
Yeah, it's hard, right? But I guess the only way you can do it is if you've got like a Team War roster, a Deviance, Notorious roster, is get these players their visas when you sign them and hope they get picked up.
Yeah,
which is just hard.
I'd love to see my boys back in the league or get their first attempts in the league, like get Harry back into a team. I mean, even in Vanguard, they looked pretty good. Or just give people like, as I said, give people like Connor or Steve an actual chance they deserve. Or just throw Ben in at some point as a laugh. I mean, get like all these players like could easily deserve a shot at the end of this year. It's just now a case of how much do teams want to fork out on visas. I mean, you look at the issue is they're going to look at Abuza, look at Linz, and think how well they're doing. and then think, is it worth a risk getting a player that was? I mean, Abuza was one of the best player last year. If he doesn't perform this year, then maybe teams look at that and think, oh well, we picked up one of the best talents. He's not done quite well. Let's just go back to NA, which I don't want to happen at all. Plus, it doesn't help him where the only European organisation is now left to go to Carolina.
Don't. We'll have to start another podcast, mate.
I'll be here for an hour.
No, it is what it is. Hopefully we see some changes. Hopefully this year gets more positive as it goes on, and hopefully next year things look a little bit more prettier than the current structure we have in place. But only time will tell. But I mean, that concludes everything, my man. I want to thank you so much for coming on. It has been an absolute pleasure. We'll be dropping all of Rayless' socials down in the comments below, along with his organisation, Deviance X Notorious. Please go check them all out. If you're watching this on YouTube, then please hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, and if you're listening on Spotify, hit that review. And we'll catch you on the next one after Boston.